We'll start with the Knicks at the Nuggets. The Knicks blew the doors off the Nuggets last night, 145-118. The Knicks looked very good. OG put up 40. Cat had a double-double, 30 and 15 rebounds. Brunson had a double-double, 23 and 17 assists, 17 assists. Mikal Bridges still trying to figure it out, but on the whole, a very nice night for the Knicks. Now, afterwards, obviously not a great night for the Nuggets, who just beat the Lakers on the road, right? So you think, okay, they got some momentum, Joker's back, whatever. Well, Jamal Murray was not happy about the performance, and he had some stuff to say after the game. Here's what he said.
I just think it's a long season. Guys have lives outside of basketball. We just beat LA in LA. Got some guys that are live in LA, so stayed in LA. And like I said, I don't think the focus was there from everybody. And that's what happens when you don't have a focus. Like I said, it's not on coach. It's not on what plays are running. It's not on anybody else but the guys that are out there on the court. So, like I said, it's tough. It's a tough one to go back and watch or even accept. But it was expected. If that's the kind of energy that the whole team is going to bring to start the game and continuously, not have a response, then that's what happens. So we've been on the other side of it. I've been on the other side of it. And tonight we were on the wrong end of it.
Not great.
First thing first, one, what do you think of him calling out his teammates? And two, who do you think he was directing that at?
Well, can I say three? We have stuff going on in our lives. This is, to me, a big red flag, too. Everybody has stuff going on in their lives. What does that have to do with work? With rare exception, that has very little to do with work life. And I'm so over professional athletes and coaches who make a bunch of money, who are under scrutiny, acting as if they're the only ones who have stress in their lives. It's not understood. I think it's a huge problem calling out his teammates. I don't know who it's directed at. But I also think, John, for me, there is a sort of – we've already been worried about Jamal Murray's level of play, and this obviously goes back to the summer on the Canadian national team where he basically was a shell of himself, and he hasn't been particularly good this year. And now he's saying –
he's annoyed.
I think, well, there's other stuff going on. We have lives. Dude, we all have lives. Like he's calling other guys for their focus, but I heard from that clip it's as much his own focus. And I'm not trying to make light of whatever's going on in his world. I don't know what it is. We didn't know what was up with Joker until we did, right? Had a kid, but we didn't know. You have stuff in your lives sometimes, and I have stuff in my lives, and that has very little to do with your work product and your work responsibilities. To me, there's something going on with Jamal Murray just in terms of having gotten paid, where his head is at and where he's at on the floor. And yeah, there's obviously some discontent in that locker room. And the first thought I had was, is this a Russell Westbrook thing? Because that guy is new to the team and he's different in the dynamic. I don't know. Who do you think he's talking about?
Well, so I was talking to producer Aaron about this, for those of you watching on YouTube, you can see the Chiron is taking a shot at Russ. But
I didn't see that. Yeah.
But first, Russ played pretty well last night. They were struggling, and Russ got hot, and it just wasn't enough late. He had 27
and he was loud
in 26 minutes, and he was trying to get them back into it. It didn't work, obviously. But then I was going through the roster. All right, so Peyton Watson went to UCLA. Are you calling out Peyton Watson? He's not the guy that's carrying this team. MPJ was fine. Maybe he stayed back last night. You're not going to call out Joker. Christian Brown hasn't been the problem. Like, are you talking about Julian Strawther? Like, none of this makes sense to me, up to and including the fact that I guess Jamal Murray, and I'm just reading the tea leaves here between the lines from what he said, that he must have traveled back with the team to Denver, right? Well, he didn't have a particularly great night. He shot 6 of 13, and he was 1 of 5 from deep. And as you mentioned, he didn't have the greatest season last year. He had a couple of moments in the postseason and then dipped out. The Olympics weren't great for him. He hasn't been that great this season. He's never been an all-star. He's never made an all-NBA team. He's the guy that's calling over. I don't know who he's calling out here, and I'm not sure he's the great messenger.
I think there's also important context here. If you saw Michael Malone's post-game comments, he went on a 4-minute rant about the lack of effort and not trying, and it's unacceptable. And he name-checked Jamal and MPJ and Joker for their lack of leadership and did it in the context of, and I think somebody asked about Russ, and he said, yeah, Russ was being pretty chirpy to the guys, which is fine if you're a leader, but you're the new guy and you're not Joker. And Michael Malone pointed out, this is Michael Malone talking. It's like, I need Jamal talking, and I need Joker talking, I need MPJ talking, not the new guy, basically. And so I think it's clearly Russ, because Malone said to his players through the media, I need these 3 guys that have been here to care enough and be vocal enough, not just this Westbrook guy who's new. look, it's all, you said it, trying to read tea leaves. I think it's a Westbrook problem. It doesn't mean it's Westbrook's fault, but I think it's clearly directed at Westbrook. And you couple that with what Michael Malone said, and
If
even though they
that's the
beat the hell
case,
out of the Lakers, there's a problem.
if that's the case, if it is an attack or like a slight against Russ, then that I think says that they have serious troubles because again, Russ was somebody who played last night. You know, like he
Right.
wasn't the problem last night. There were a lot of things that were a problem last night. I don't know that it was Russ. So like if he's still feeling a certain way, Jamal is feeling a certain way about Russ after that, like doesn't feel great. This was Aaron's question. I think it's a good one. What does it say? Who does it say more about from last night? The Knicks getting a big win or the Nugs having a brutal loss?
It is a good question. I think it's the Nuggets. Again, like we should talk about it. It's interesting. It's one basketball game. I mean, it's right. And it's a pattern. It is a pattern in Denver. And Malone talked about this. He sort of cited several examples going back to I think he cited the first or second game of the year where they let down in the second quarter. So there's been a lack of the focus and effort that Malone requires from this team. And so I think it says more about Denver, that there is this sort of lull in them and this low that we've seen, and that it exists with Joker in the lineup that is really problematic. I know the Knicks offense is really good. I'm not sure they're scoring 140 points most nights. I think that's probably a bit of an anomaly, and that will mask whatever defensive deficiencies there are and or remain going forward with Cat out there. So I'm going to put the Knicks aside. I think it's Denver's not very deep. If there are Russell Westbrook, Jamal Murray chemistry issues, that is a problem. Malone now talking about his 3 stars, if you want to put MPJ and Murray in that category, is not leading enough and caring enough and being vocal enough. I thought when I watched it like 6 times this morning, I thought that was a shot at Murray and MPJ, and he included Joker just because that maybe takes some of the sting out.
Sure, yeah.
But I think there's problems in Denver, and I think the takeaway is as high as the highs are for the Nuggets, I think they're probably going to be okay. And we saw it against the Lakers. There is a concern from Jamal Murray, from Russell Westbrook, from Michael Malone about what the lows are for that team potentially.
If only they could play the Lakers every game, they'd be just fine. But yeah,
That's
I mean,
right.
like the vibes don't feel great there. I think that we probably did learn more about the Nuggets last night because clearly there was this thing simmering under the surface that I wasn't aware of. I didn't see it. I mean, I thought, hey, Joker comes back from having a kid. They smacked the Lakers, all good. You're going to go back and play the Knicks. And hey, it's one basketball game, as you say, but to let the Knicks put up 145 points is significant.